All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in your part of the world. So let's get started with this. This engine, I am ripping off the heads because of the broken spark plug, which there'll be a picture up on the screen, yada yada. Um, I started tearing this apart, but that's only because I had this thing from the last video of me introducing this. I got it running, got it up to operating temperature, which is about 200 degrees, and parked it right here, and immediately unbolted. Oh, that light's making the damn video flicker. I immediately unbolted the manifolds from the heads, which surprisingly enough, all of them came out. So on a crusty, rusty Ranger Explorer, it's not a bad idea to get this thing up to operating temperature and then try and pull these bolts out. All of them came out, none of them broke, but it definitely helped that this thing was scorching hot. Yeah, you kind of burn your hands a little bit, but you can get this manifold unbolted. And over here, got the harness right here in the way. Kind of hard to see, Trying to put that down in there. Let's see if you can see. Yep, there's the other manifold. On your screen will be the set of tools that I use. It's a very specific socket set that I used on, I use basically on Diesel's EGR bolts. They're 10 millimeter head. I forget. I think it's M8 by 125 thread. Anyway, you can kind of see on, hopefully, you can see all these threads are flat right from here to here. These bolts I will not reuse. I will get new bolts or new studs, whatever. I will get new ones and run a thread tap through the holes of that head just to clean up the threads in the head. But yes, getting this thing up to operating temperature on 5 cylinders worked out, and then hopefully the video is not flickering with that light, the LED light, which it likes to do sometimes. Hopefully you'll have the same luck I had, because I expected one or two of these bolts or even all of them to break, but apparently the valve cover on this side looked like it's leaking oil. And then all the manifold bolts came out, but that's probably because everything was up to operating temperature, everything was hot, is able to come out. So yeah, on your screen will be those specific tools. It's a specific biting socket that's from Matco. I use in order to, it bites onto the bolt head instead of rounded off. It's very useful. You can use an impact on it. It's not exactly what you want to use on it, but I didn't, in terms of this portion of it. I use a conglomerate number of ratchets, wrenches, and just flex head, just to get them off, and so I can get them, which I can't believe all of them came out. They were tight, they were fighting. I had to work them back and forth and ratchet them the whole way out, but they did come out. So you can see down in there better, maybe. This is why we are removing the head so I can fix this head better. And then the valve cover over here, you can see how damp it is right down here, leaking oil. We're just going to be probably replacing this valve cover, because I've had my green Explorer, same thing happen. This valve cover rotted away. The EGR tube that goes from here all the way up to here, that goes to the EGR valve here, I cut out with a Sawzall. That's not getting put back in. I'm not going to reuse that. We're not going to use the EGR system at all. I'll let the check engine light like basically come on for that. I'm not dealing with that. I got to undo all the vacuum lines here. This is the vacuum line to the transmission right here. This is for, one of these is for the fuel pressure regulator. One of these goes over to the HVAC box. This, I think, is for the motor for the cruise. This was for the brake booster. There's another one over here for the EGR system. So just for FYI, the EGR systems on a lot of these 94, 95, 96, and 97 and to 98 are all basically the same. You have a, I believe they call this a DPFE sensor, differential pressure sensor for the EGR. There's tubes that are supposed to go from this sensor down to the tube that goes between the manifold and the EGR valve. Basically, the computer sees the differential pressure and then opens up the valve via vacuum. This is your vacuum solenoid that allows vacuum to go to this EGR valve, and it's supposed, the vacuum is supposed to open it up, so when you're cruising down the road, the EGR valve opens up and recirculates the exhaust gas. And this is just to verify that it is opening when the computer wants it to. All this I am going to delete. The EGR system is pointless in these things, especially this old of a thing. You'll get a check engine light for the EGR valve system not working, but the solenoid, the vacuum solenoid down here, the EGR valve will probably just remain there as a plug. The vacuums ports for this be gone. This may or may not just stay here like this and be just no tubes. I just pinch off the what's left of the cut off EGR tube and then just ignore the check engine light for the EGR system. But the manifolds are off. That was the first thing I did when I parked it in here. That was about an hour of just ripping the intake tube off, everything out. The battery's still hooked up. I didn't even unhook that yet. Basically everything. I had to come with the front tires off, come through here. You can kind of see, I had to come through here a little bit. You can see that broken spark plug. But what I'll probably do for the rest of this is just set my phone up, probably like up here, somewhere like this, and just do a time lapse of me removing the heads. I should have these heads off in like a couple hours. The exhaust is the biggest pain in the royal donkey's ass to get off. Everything else is usually a lot simpler. So the exhaust system is out of the way first. Over here, FYI, so one of the things I had to do, so this cover right here that I have in my hand, freaking light. So there's this tube down here. Oh God, this tube here. So one of the things, I guess, about these older mid-90s, early 90s 4 liters is that they have it's down there. So there's a kind of a baffle, or not baffle, more like a valve. So when this thing's cold, it takes hot air from around the manifold to heat up the engine faster, and uses engine vacuum to do that. I forget where, I think it goes up to here is the vacuum line for it. But again, this whole like grab hot air from the manifold to warm up the engine faster, I am deleting that too. So that's getting deleted. So the hard part, manifolds are off. If I broke some bolts on the head, I probably would have videotaped that as a second video. Well, there's that motor over there that has broken studs off in the head. I might do that one as a video later. But I will say, heating this thing up to get up to temperature, and then using my special biting socket to get both manifolds unbolted from the heads was the play to do, because the heat of the engine being all the way up to 200 degrees temperature helped that a lot. None of the bolts broke, but they did fight me out all the way. So again, you'll have the picture of all the tools I kind of used, and the socket kit specifically for that, of getting that out. So let me set you up. You'll do a time lapse, and I'm just going to get the town to ripping off these heads. Okay, so here's where we ended up after. So I worked for an hour and almost 45 minutes in that time lapse, and that time lapse is probably like 5 minutes long or something like that. Here's where we ended up. This just became more of a pain in the ass than I would want it to be, and this is going to snowball. First things first, this head is not off. Why? Because, hopefully this light will show you. You can see that head bolt right down there. That is pretty rotted out inside to where I am stripping the T55 Torx bit off, and it's not, I'm not able to get a bite on it. Same with this back one over here, right there. This one I was able to get, and that one I was able to get. And then the ones under the valve cover are easy as pie because of the oil. Funny enough, all the spark plugs came out. That head, all the spark plugs came out. This head, all the spark plugs came out, except for the one that's broken off. That head has an issue. So, if you can kind of see the dark area at the top, the ring, carbon ring, all of them are the same. But the one thing I noticed when taking the head off this side, so normal carbon, small dish piston, and then you look at this one. Why is there a clean spot on that piston? Just like that one. All carbon, but normal piston. Carbon, normal piston. Carbon, normal piston, other than why do I have a half moon on this piston? Well, this piston kissed the valve. So far, that lifter looks fine, and this is the problem one. Feels fine. The push rod for this one is fine. What I can gather is the valve guide is seizing the valve in the head. So we got two issues here. We got this head that I still need to remove. I need to find a way to get these stripped head bolts out. Then I can get this head off. But more than likely, I cannot just reuse these heads. These heads are going to have to be gone through. So let me grab the hammer. This one, right there. See if I can. It's slowly going back in, but it shouldn't be doing that. You also can look at it head on. Right there. It's been hitting the piston. The piston's been closing this valve. Also, there was I don't know if it was fuel in this cylinder. I don't know if it was fuel or something else, but when I took this head off, I don't know if you'll see it in the time lapse, but a bunch of liquid came out of this intake runner. And I don't know if it's fuel or oil, possibly both. But this valve guide is seized in this head, so this head has to at least be gone through. I don't see any typical crack. At least right now, I can't see any typical crack. That would be right here. That was part of a burp. No typical crack there. No typical crack there. At least so far, I don't see one on this head. So, I'm probably going to have to find a machine shop to go through both these heads. I definitely need new head bolts because of the two rotted ones over here. So, very carboned up. I have to I don't have my extractor socket set that would be I could possibly use on these. Or I am probably going to grab 2 cheap throwaway T55 Torx bits and try and weld them to the heads of these bolts just to get them out. So there's our inconvenience. I'm going to take this off because 1, I'm not going to use this, and 2, I want it out of the way because this thing was cutting the hell out of my hand. Don't need that. We'll get rid of this too. Don't need that. From what I can tell, I cannot feel any play. I don't think the piston is damaged to the point where I can't use this short block. By the carbon ring, I don't see the piston coming up and hitting the valve. What I see is the valve guide seizing up and the piston basically closing the valve. I'm pretty sure this thing was running on 4 cylinders. Did not have a bent push rod, surprisingly. But that's pretty much where we're at right now. Wiring harness is peeled over there. I still didn't disconnect the battery. But I have to figure out where my extractors are, or just buy 2 extra T55 Torx bits and try and weld them to these last 2 bolt heads to get them out. These bolt heads are so rotten. When it rains, it pours. So, don't know how I'll put this in the video. I might... That seems fine. I think these might be original head gaskets. Yeah, they look original. But this head has to at least be gone through. That head probably needs to be gone through if I can get it off. New head bolts. Yeah. So, I don't know if this will be the end or you'll see the finishing of taking that one off once I get a solution. Alright, here's going to be the last bit of video for this removing the heads video. So, as you can see, this head I got removed, and I'll go over how I did that in a moment. But, so, you know from the last few seconds ago, that space on that piston where the valve's been shutting? This one has 2 doing the exact same thing. The center one there you can see, and then I don't know if you can see the last one there. So this has, that cylinder head has 2 valves sticking. And I tested this theory. This valve has been stuck open for a few days. Take that off. Hopefully it's not flickering the camera. This is a spark plug 14 by 125 thread chaser for these to be thread chased down. I still can't get this thing out. I was going to attempt to try and drill the center of this out and then maybe use an easy out to get it out. But seeing that both these heads, I do not see any cracking. Oopsie. So this I was gonna try and get out with the easy out by drilling out the center, but being that I don't see any cracking on this head will probably be rebuildable, and because I have valves getting stuck, This one's getting stuck, this one's getting stuck, and this one's getting stuck on the other head. I am probably going to take both these heads to a machine shop and have them go through, do a valve job, new valve seals, have them take care of this, and just have them clean it up for me. I think brand new heads, the last time I think it was like 200, maybe 400 bucks. I don't remember. Anyway, I'm pretty sure I can have these things redone cheaper than getting 2 brand new cylinder heads, and I don't see an issue at the moment where these cylinder heads would be rendered completely junk. So, all right, how did I get this cylinder head off? Well, how did I get a lot of this rusty shit off? That became a problem. So the valve cover bolts were the second problem. The first problem was the exhaust manifolds. And in the beginning, getting the exhaust manifold bolts out, I told you I used my special socket in order to bite onto these bolts just better. And with the engine that was running up to operating temperature, all of them came out, but definitely flattened all the threads to where each one of these holes are going to have to be at least having a tap go through. And I believe it's an M8 by 125 thread or an M10 by 125 thread. I can't remember. I think it's M10. You can see the carbon in these intake runners. They're so coked up. But anyway, that was how I got the manifolds off. So the EGR pipe I just cut with a Sawzall. Simple enough. I'm not even putting an EGR pipe back on there. Okay, this valve cover, I don't know if you can see it. There's holes here, holes here, holes here. This valve cover is complete junk. This valve cover is not usable. Head bolts, not really usable. Rockers are still okay, it looks like. Majority of them are fine, very minimal wear. This valve cover is reusable. Now that I see it here, there's some holes here. I don't know if you can see it, but there is some holes right here. This valve cover might be barely reusable. But I have extra valve covers on an engine that's sitting over there. That's a 98 engine that has a lot less rust on it. I don't see an issue with this other than it's dirty. So this will get reused. This was broken off beforehand. I'm pretty sure this might be why it was having a hard time starting, because this is the temperature sensor for the computer, the coolant temperature sensor for the computer, whereas the one over here, that is the coolant temperature sensor for your instrument cluster. The valve cover bolts, some of these were so rotten bad that I had to put, instead of a 10 millimeter on them, a 3/8 socket and slam it on there. Some of them were so rotten that I had to put an 8 millimeter socket on them. It needs new bolts, new valve covers, reseal that. These heads need to be gone through. Valve job needs to be gone through. I might put better valve springs in these heads, and maybe we'll put a cam in that. Probably not right now. I'm debating whether to put valve springs in this. So, had to smack a socket on those. That was the second issue. Now, finally, what did I do to get these head bolts out? So these are the two head bolts that gave me issue. Now, I'll just take this one out, I guess. Well, let's go over the first one, this one, that was somewhat left. What did I use to take them out? Well, right here is what I use. This is part of my extractors I have. You can kind of read that. Number 10. So, here's your standard T55 Torx bit. This is just a Duralast junky one. You can see it's already twisting. If a socket that isn't rusted, these are working fine. But generally, That's your standard Torx bit right there. This is what's known as a Torx Plus. It's got, if you look at it, a little bit more beef. They're not meant to twist like that one. Even this one would not twist either of them. It was rotten too bad for those two head bolts to twist, so this did useless nothing. This basically did useless nothing. This one, however, on the one head bolt over here, hammer this one in, it actually is perfect size to grab a bite and actually get this head bolt out. The same cannot be said for this one, and I really reamed that one on there. This is the kit I got from Amazon, I guess REX 077, about 20 bucks. This is the style that I thought I had this style, but I just ordered basically this new one. You can see the twirls. You take a hammer. Let me grab it. Hopefully I can get it off with this. So you get a hammer. This is going to be difficult with one hand. Get a hammer. Come on. See if I can get this. You have to get a hammer, and I don't know if this is going to come off. I might need to tighten this up. No, I'm going to have to... Yeah, so you get a hammer. You smack the living hell out of that thing to get it on there. And I used my giant ratchet here and able to get it off. This is the part number of a Torx Plus one for this. That was again 10 bucks off Amazon. Torx Plus would not have helped in this situation, but these extractors did bite onto it. I don't know if I can get a pry bar underneath that and see if we can get it off. Nope, this thing's... Wow, it's really stuck on there. Okay, there it is. Where'd that go? Okay. So, let's see. You can see how rotted out that thing is. Look, there is no Torx. I don't know if the cameras can... There is nothing resemblance of Torx at all in that. But this thing really did bite onto this really well and was able to get me the... This was, what time? 16 millimeter 5/8 was the one that fit on here the best. You smack it down with a hammer, really let those things bite into the outside. I actually got it out. So these were the two pain in the ass ones. This one, the other extractor was used and got it out. This one was too rotten, too bad to use that one. So I thought I had more of these. I had to buy a $20 set and actually worked. So I guess that's the whole teardown of the heads. Valve covers junk, head bolts junk, the heads need to be gone through, and there's probably more. Oh yeah, that sensor needs to be replaced because it's broken. Probably a couple connectors. New gasket set for that. Clean that up. Clean the carbon out. And I think that's... Crap. I think that's pretty much it. So, yeah. I guess that's the end of the head teardown. That's where this lies now. I got to send the heads to a machine shop. So, hopefully this gives you some sort of information that for the rust wise, how I got through it. The rust is not your friend, and was a pain in the ass. So I think the time I legitimately spent working on this was about an hour getting the manifolds off, about an hour, hour and a half getting the manifolds off when this thing was scorching hot. The time lapse was nearly 2 hours of getting to just that head off and that head stuck, and then getting this on that head bolt to get that head off. 20 minutes, I think it was. I think it was 20 minutes, and that head was off. Maybe less. I don't remember. I'm sorry, it was less than a half hour, because literally with this, went on, came right out. Broke loose the bolt with the ratchet, came right out. And both heads are on the bench here. So, okay, that's pretty much it. I'll try and do more technical stuff, but hopefully this helped you out for getting around the rust. The rust is terrible. This thing is pretty crusty. I don't know if I should have bought it or not, but oh well. Until next time.